Hello class, this is your teacher Mr. McDougall with your next project tutorial. We are in Unit 4. We're still going through the shot list. We are on number 4, which is camera focus. So far in number 1 we did shot sizes, number 2 we did framing, and I always have those cheat sheets available. Remember in number 1 we did the shot sizes, we practiced these ones. Secondly, we did framing. We practiced different types of who you put in the shot. In the previous assignment, we went over the different types of camera angles. Today, for number 4, we are going over camera focus. So this is how we use focus. This is something similar to what we touched on when we went over the exposure triangle and played with the aperture and deep and shallow focus. However, we're going to expand on that a little bit and go over a couple different kinds of focus. We're even going to transition into taking some video. Okay? So the first part of the assignment is the same as the others, where first I want you to watch the Studio Binder YouTube video, which is this one right here, Shot List Episode 4. As you're watching the video, click on the Google Doc to take at least 15 notes from the video, at least a couple, 2 to 3 on each type of focus that the video talks about. Remember, notes is part of the assignment, so make sure you're finishing that up as well. And then however many notes you're able to get, if you're not able to get the full 15, you can add more from the presentation right now. Let me recap a little bit, and then I'll explain how you're going to take your camera focus shots. So here's camera focus. Again, a little bit what we talked about with aperture. So some of this is going to sound a little bit familiar, starting with deep focus. The first type it talks about is deep focus. And again, this is one we've already touched on. We went over the exposure triangle. And that is where everything is in focus. We have the entire scene in focus. These are good for our wide shots. And again, remember, that requires a high f-stop. That f number on the back of your camera, make that f number as high as you possibly can to get the deep focus. You want it at about f20 or higher if you can get it up that high. Remember, less light comes in, so you're going to have to balance out the other two parts of the triangle, but that's okay. That's what photography is all about. And again, this is good for establishing shots and wide shots because we want to see everything. We want to see the whole landscape in focus. So this is a deep focus. And in the opposite of that, another one that we practiced before is the shallow focus. And again, if you remember, this is when just a small part of the frame is in focus, like a particular subject or a particular object, and the background is blurry and out of focus, like this. This requires a low f-stop number. You want that f-stop number to be as low as you possibly can, depending on your camera and your lens. Most of them can go down to about f3, f4, or f5-ish, depending. So the lower you can get it, the more out of focus the background becomes. This creates this bokeh effect, which is what you see here in this example. When you have a subject standing and there's a bunch of lights in the background that go out of focus, that is called bokeh, which is what this is right here. And it's a very cool cinematic shot for shallow focus photos. And again, it draws attention to something specific. Instead of worrying about the background or a wide shot, we're focused solely on the main character or the object, and it draws our eyes straight to them, creating a stronger connection, of course. All right, let's talk about a couple of new ones. These ones we have not done before. The next one up is soft focus. Again, these are from the video, so make sure you watch the video to understand a little bit more about these and add to your notes. Soft focus is where nothing is in super sharp focus. It's not completely blurry and visible. You don't want it to be completely out of focus to where you can't tell what's going on. We just have it a little bit softer, and this requires using manual focus. I'll show you how to switch your cameras to manual focus at the end of this little slideshow on how to do it to make the entire shot slightly blurry. The olden days, as I mentioned in the video, is they use a soft focus on the female stars in older movies to make them look softer, daintier, more feminine. Obviously, this is an out-of-date trend. We don't really do that anymore for obvious reasons. However, soft focus is still used for unnatural scenes. So you'll see it in a movie or a TV show when everything's kind of soft focus. It usually symbolizes like there's a fantasy, dream, someone's died, or like mentally everything's not so crisp. It's a little fuzzy, which is because it's like an unknown situation. So when you see a soft focus, you can usually assume it's some kind of fantasy dream or death sequence happening. The next one is going to be our first transition into taking video, and that is called the rack focus. And as you can tell from the examples, it's when the focus changes during the shot. So you can see here we have, it starts focused on James Bond and then it racks focus forward to this glass. Same thing over here from Avengers Infinity War. We start focus on the arm, switch it to Peter, and then the focus shifts back to the ship, and each layer becomes out of focus as we shift. See, his face is in focus and then he goes out of focus as we shift over there. Again, we're using the manual focus to create this effect. and it changes to draw our eyes from one subject to the next. Our eyes automatically look at what's in focus, so that's why our eyes go from here and I go straight to there. It's guiding the eye towards whatever is important. I'll show you how to do this in the video mode at the end of this slideshow. Again, guiding our eyes to whatever is important in the scene. Another one the video talked about is the split diopter focus. This one's a little freaky, where you focus on two different things in two different layers of the scene at the same time. It's different from deep focus, where everything's in focus. This is where you have a character who's in the foreground or off somewhere else, like way in the background. Like this one, this guy's sitting up and close, and this girl's sitting way in the back row. It's not a deep focus because we're not seeing everything. We're just seeing people at two different layers. And this requires a special lens to do that. So we won't be practicing this one, but because we don't have the equipment for it, but it is something I want you to be aware of. Again, it's a very unnatural look because our eyes can focus on a deep focus and we can focus on a shallow focus, but our eyes can't do both at the same time. When you look at this guy, you have to focus on him and then shift your focus back to her, and your eyes kind of subtly strain to go back and forth a little bit. It's completely unnatural. We don't like this. It makes us having to dart back and forth, and it's exhausting to our eyes. So filmmakers will often do this for stylistic purposes, but you won't see it very often because it's super unnatural and strange to what we're used to with our eyes. The last focus it talked about in the video is a tilt shift focus. And this one's really cool. This one uses, again, a special lens where it blurs the edge of the frame. It bends the light around the edge of the frame, and it blurs the edges. So the center is in focus, but the outside is blurry just by the way the lens bends the light around. And it creates this weird optical illusion where everything looks like toys. These are real life scenes. This is a real life picture of a city. Both of these are. But this optical illusion kind of makes it look like it's like a little miniature set, or it's like little Lego toys or something. That's just this fun optical illusion from this effect. Again, it requires a special lens to do, so we won't be practicing this one in class. However, it is something you can add in post-production, aka video editing. If you're doing video editing, there are some filters you can throw on it as well to create this effect. However, we won't be practicing it right now, but it is a very cool one to be aware of. All right, so the way you're going to set manual focus, and I'll show you a couple times, depending on the camera. This is with the R100, one of the most common ones we're using in our class. The first thing you're going to do is go to Menu, and again, you'll be using manual focus for the soft focus and the rack focus. For everything else, we stay in autofocus like we've been practicing the whole time. So to get to the manual focus, you're going to hit the menu button on the R100, then look for the shooting settings tab, which is the red camera tab. Select that one, and then as you scroll through, you'll look for tab number 4. So you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, find number 4, and then scroll down to focus mode, and you'll switch it from AF to MF. So AF is autofocus, MF is manual focus. This is where you start controlling the focus. And then you control it by turning the ring at the top of the camera. You see how there's a ring right there? Not the one that makes you zoom in and out, but there's another ring right near the tip of the lens. If you turn that one, that adjusts the focus for the manual focus, like you could see here from the example from the movie. As the focus racks back and forth, it starts with our main character, it shifts back to them, then it shifts back to the nurse over here, and then shifts back to the front. And that's how you control it, by shifting this ring right here. Okay? So what you'll be doing, as before, there is a couple of new parts here from the previous assignments. You'll be getting a camera SD card, and now you'll also be learning how to use the tripod. I'll show you how to use the tripod in class, and you will find some examples and take 2 shots of each type that we'll be practicing. For the rack focus, we're going to be doing video for the very first time, and this one you're just going to take very short video clips so you can practice the technique. As you practice the clip, it'll only take you about 5 to 10 seconds for a video clip. They're going to be short and sweet, okay? Let me show you how to do that real quick. So when you go to your slides, classwork, as usual, you will add stuff here. Find me an online example of each one, the deep focus, and then you're going to take 2 photos of each. And as I mentioned before, we are building upon our description. So as you take a shot, as you take your deep focus shot, tell me what shot size, framing, and angle you went with. Again, refer to your previous cheat sheets. This is where you find what shot size did you go with, the wide, cowboy, medium, what framing did you go with, single, 2-shot over the shoulder, and then what angle did you decide to go with. This is what we went over in the previous lesson. And make sure these are different for each pair of shots. Photo number 1 If you went with a full shot or something for photo number 1, or a single or a low angle, photo number 2, those cannot be the same. Those have to be different. You cannot use the same settings for each pair of shots. Make sure you're adding variety to all of your shots. Same thing, we're only practicing 4. If you go to the cheat sheet, we are just going to practice these 4 from the video. We're not going to practice all 6 because, as I mentioned, the split diopter and the tilt shift, we don't have the special lenses for those. So we're just going to focus on these ones for right now. So find me an online example. Again, this one is slightly different. This isn't exactly the same as what we've been doing as we transition into video. Soft focus, 2 photos. When you get to rack focus, this one, look for a GIF file. So if you look for a rack focus GIF, look for that specifically. So if you look for a rack focus GIF, GIF, when you find an image, you'll see a little video clip of it like this. And you'll download this. See how this one rack focuses from his face towards the gun? So download something like this instead of a typical image file. Again, specifically look for a GIF file, and that is something you can add right here. This will allow you to add it. So it's like a short little looping video clip. And when you add your video clips now, you'll see again, rack focus is video 1 and 2, no longer photos for this one, our first transition into video. For video, there's no easy way to determine your exposure settings like we have right here. So you'll notice in the rack focus one, those are missing. So you do not have to add your exposure settings for the rack focus, but you do still need to tell me what of the other shot elements went into it. What was your shot size, what was your framing, and what was your angle? And then same thing for video 2, those 3 things again, but make sure again they are different. Do not use the same shot size, framing, and angle for each one. Okay? So everything is the same as what we've been doing, but we're changing it up a little bit once we get into this video section. And the next 2 videos for Studio Binder for Unit 405 and 406, those will also be video, but I'll explain more of those as we get to it. Let me quickly show you a little demo on how to do manual focus and again shift during the rack focus. So again, watch me here. Let me go over it really quickly. So with the video here, I'll go over that one more time as you saw on the slideshow. With the R100, again, it depends on the camera. With the R100, I'm going to press Menu, and then I'm going to find the shooting settings right there. Click OK. And then I'm going to go to tab number 4 and scroll down till I find focus mode right here. See how it's set to AF as autofocus? Choose that and then select manual focus. On occasion, these cameras, for some reason, tend to glitch, and that menu option for focus tends to disappear. If that happens, please let me know right away. I will help you fix it. So if you're struggling and you're like, there's no focus mode button for some reason, it's not you, you're not stupid. Sometimes the cameras just glitch, and I don't know why they do that, but I can reset them so it should appear. But if that ever happens where you can't find this, please tell me right away, and I'll help you get back to it. Okay, now we're in focus. Now we're in manual focus. So if I go back, I can control it again from this wheel right here. This wheel controls what is in focus in the shot. And I will show you with another camera as well on how to do the soft focus. So sometimes you'll be using this camera. Possibly this is the Canon 90D. This one has a little lens so I could show you what it looks like. Okay, go just like that. Angle it so I could see. So again, this one is also set to manual focus. On this particular camera, there's actually a little switch right here. So again, every camera is a little bit different. The R100s, you have to go to the menu, but this one actually has a little switch on the lens from AF, switch to MF. Now it's on manual focus. So now I'm controlling the focus again by turning this ring at the tip of the lens. And if you look on the screen right here, if you look on the screen, you can see how the focus is changing. So as I turn it, the focus shifts back and forth. See how the focus is on Admiral Akbar, and I shift the focus back to the plants right behind him. He becomes out of focus again by turning this thing. So when you do the soft focus, you just want to turn it slightly so everything's a little soft. You can see nothing super sharp, so this would be your soft focus shot. When you're doing the rack focus, that one's going to be, again, your first video clip. You're going to do the focus change within the shot. Okay? So let me show you how to do rack focus. Make sure you're on video mode. So for the first time, you're going to be on video mode. On this camera, you just have to switch it down here. Again, on each camera, I will show you specifically how to get to that if you're having trouble. But when you're in video mode, you're going to record your video, and you're going to change the focus within the shot. So I'm going to start my focus on this plant. I'm going to record video. You can tell it's recording by that turning right there. As it's recording, I'm going to turn my focus to shift it forward to Admiral Akbar, and then I stop recording the video. That's it. That's my whole video. So again, that's how you do rack focus. You record the video. While the video is recording, you're going to turn your focus to shift back and forth to the object in the front and then to the back, or vice versa. Okay? That's it. That's how you do the rack focus. You're just going to record a short little video clip. So remember, you are turning it as the video is playing. It's changing during the shot. Okay? One quick thing to keep in mind that I also did not mention yet, when you're doing video, I know we've only briefly talked about shutter speed. When you're recording your video, and in order to not confuse you guys with lots of complicated math related stuff, make sure your shutter speed is always, always, always at 1/50 right here. Okay? This is only for video. On photo, this is obviously different. I've told you guys to keep it a little higher when it comes to photography. But when we're doing video, again, there's reasons for this that I won't get into because it's complicated math stuff. Just keep your shutter speed at 1/50th all the time. Okay? Do not make it higher or lower. If you need to adjust your brightness, you need to change the other two things, either f-stop or ISO. Okay? We'll do the same. Let me just show you real quick on the R100. I already showed you how to do manual focus. For this one, to get to video, is just right up here. We're usually on manual mode. You're just going to switch it to this little video camera option. So if I switch right there, now I'm in video mode. So now it's all video. And again, make sure that your shutter speed is at 1/50th. So right here where it says shutter speed, make sure it's always at 1/50th for any video that we do. Okay? And then to record video, you press this red record button right here. So I press the red record button, and you can see you have this. You see you have this red record and this red blinking light. That means you're recording video, and you just press the same button to stop. Okay? So that's how you take your little video clip. Remember, for the rack focus, you're recording video, and you just turn the knob as you record. You will be setting these up on a tripod in order to keep your shot steady. I'll show you how to use the tripod in class. We'll do that part together. Okay? So just like before, you are completing your notes and your slideshow like we always do, except we are going into video for the very first time with the rack focus. Okay? So again, here's your cheat sheet to make it easier for you, explaining which ones you are practicing and how to get to them in the shot with little descriptions right here. Okay? Make sure you have this available so you can easily reference it, and you'll be completing everything as we normally have been, completing the notes and the classwork slides. Okay? As always, have fun and let me know if you have any questions along the way.